Hello, everyone. My name is Arun, and I'm Solutions Architect with Rexbus Technologies, which is one of the best organizations to work with. And this is my channel. These are my views. But right now, we are talking about Azure updates. So not my views. These are the updates that I'm sharing from Microsoft for Azure. All these updates are generally available. So let's go one by one. And we have already established or talked about it, why these are important. So let's not go there again. Let's try to know about these updates. So the very first is Azure dedicated host support for ultra disk storage. Yes. Earlier, it wasn't like this. What I mean by that, what I meant by that is virtual machines running on Azure dedicated host support the use of standard and premium disks as data disk only. But now ultra disk is also part of the gang. Okay, so that's the update, and it's a good one. Now, next one is NetApp files. Okay, Azure NetApp files. And what is the update? Update is standard network features that Azure NetApp files can utilize. Now, standard network features provide an enhanced and consistent virtual networking experience along with the security posture for Azure NetApp files. If you're wondering what could be those features, so let me give you some example like NSG, Network Security Group Support, user-defined route support on Azure NetApp subnet, because we create NetApp subnet for NetApp files, or connectivity over active VPN gateway. So an increased IP limits for VNets with Azure NetApp file volume. So these are updates on Azure NetApp files. Now you can utilize standard network features, and I gave you some examples. All right. Now, the third one is resource instance rules for access to Azure storage. Okay. Now, Azure Storage provides a layered security model that enables us to secure and control access to your storage account. We all know that. We can configure network access rules to limit access to your storage account from selected virtual networks or IP address range. Most of the PaaS services has this service firewall. But some Azure services operate on multi-tenant infrastructure. So resources of these services cannot be isolated to a specific virtual network. That's the problem statement for this update here. So with resource instance rules, you can now configure your storage account to only allow access from a specific resource instance of such Azure service. Let's take an example. Azure Synapse offers analytic capabilities that cannot be deployed into a virtual network. If your Synapse workspace uses such capabilities, you can configure a resource instance rule on a secured storage account to only allow traffic from that particular Synapse workspace. Good one, right? Now, another one is this, which is 45% performance gains. Oh, these are not the muscular gains. So these are different things. It's performance gains. And you need not to do anything for this. Microsoft announcing an up to 45% performance boost for CPU intensive jobs by default in Azure Stream Analytics or streaming process. The improvement allows you to reduce the number of streaming units assigned to such jobs and save on cost without impacting the performance. Now, what are streaming units? We have covered this in our Azure Stream Analytics video, which is a part of AZ-305. Streaming units is just like a data warehouse has DW and Azure SQL used to have, or it's still there, DTU similarly. Streaming units are SUs, which is the memory and CPU combined. So that's how the ASA works as per the streaming unit. Now, the next one is private endpoint support to Synapse SQL output. Now, I have mentioned here output just to remind myself this is not only Azure Synapse, but it is referring to the output of ASA. Azure Stream Analytics has the structure of job as input, then query, then the output. Input data, then running queries or analytics on that, and then output. Now you can output the data into the Azure SQL as well through private endpoint. So that's the update here. Now let's check out the another one, which is database for Postgres output in Stream Analytics. Again, as I said, in Azure Stream Analytics, if you have seen the video, you know the construct of the job. It's input, query, and output. Input is happening through IoT Hub, Event Hub, or blob storage or data lake. And then you're running the query. Query is based on the SQL language or SQL query language. And once the analysis is done, you have to send the data somewhere. Could be Power BI, could be Cosmos DB. So now you could also share that to the Postgres SQL. Now, the last one is authenticate to service bus using managed identity. This is nice. We all know what is managed identities. And now Stream Analytics allows you to use managed identities as an authentication mode when connecting to the Azure bus queue or topics. This solves a common challenge when building cloud applications related to critical management. Keeping the credentials secure is important and shouldn't be stored in developer's workstation or checked into the source control. So yes, that's why we have this in check through managed identities. And just to highlight this, these all updates are related to the ASA, Azure Stream Analytics. Now let's check the few more are left there. I have added Custo Emulator. Yes, Azure Data Explorer Custo Emulator. This is something that we can use to enhance our learning for Custo and also for developers when they develop something. So automated testing can be done using Custo Emulator without provisioning an Azure service and without connection to the internet. Yes, it can be an efficient way to use Custo query engine for automated test. Local development can be done without relying on an internet connection because it's simple image and container you can run and work. And Custo Emulator is a Docker container. And you can have this without internet. You just have an image on your machine and you can do the emulation. Now, the next one is Cosmos DB integrated cache. There is nothing to explain, but yes, the cache is integrated with the Cosmos DB. So use Azure Cosmos DB integrated cache to optimize read, cost, and latency for both points, reads, and queries. Azure Cosmos DB integrated cache is an in-memory cache, just like any other, built into the Azure Cosmos DB dedicated gateway. And the dedicated gateway is optional. Front-end compute that stores cached data and routes the request to the backend databases. There is no need to make code change in your application to use the dedicated gateway and utilize the integrated cache. Integrated cache is currently available for core SQL API only. Cosmos DB is already been covered in deep dive. There is a playlist available and you will know it supports like 5 APIs. One of them is SQL. So it is for SQL as of now. Now, the Azure functions for event grid blob trigger. So the event grid blob trigger handles the events raised by storage account and is now GA. The extension allows you to reduce latency by triggering on an event subscription to the same blob container. The event subscription uses event grid to forward changes in the blob container as events for your function to consume. It's nothing as such, but yeah, it's good to know that you can have that trigger available now And then last but not the least, it's an interesting one, API management custom widget. Well, Azure API management now support for custom widgets in the developer portal, right? Custom widget make it easier to integrate with external systems, and they provide a different way to represent data or modified API reference or user profile pages in the developer portal. If you do not know what is developer portal, you have to check another video that I've covered the Azure API management. So because API management, as the name says, is for the management of the APIs, and you have to give access to your APIs for the external applications, or you can create the subscriptions. Same way, there is a developer portal. Supporting these capabilities in the managed developer portal provides you with an alternative to maintaining self-hosted portals while offering more advanced extensibility options and better manageability and source control than available previously through the custom HTML widgets. This is more of a developer oriented update, but good to know that, right? So these are some pretty interesting updates, might help you. And let's meet in another video with some more updates and other video, maybe 305 or something else. Till then, take care.